Welcome back to Houston Life. We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month and highlighting the stories behind the labels, paving the way for Latino representation in the wine industry.
And wine and travel contributor Daniela Garrido is back to share her lineup of these wineries, the powerful stories behind these labels, and the experts really who are leading them. I'm so glad you're back, Daniela.
Thank you. It is always good to be here, and I'm so excited to talk about this. I feel like it is so important, especially as a Latina, to highlight diverse voices in general, but especially in the Hispanic world. And when it comes to wine, when you really think about it, wine is agriculture like anything else.
Absolutely.
And people often forget, like, a majority of owners that owned wine brands are not Latinos, but if you go to any working vineyard, it is the Latinos that keep it going,
right.
And they're like making sure the vines are healthy, they're picking the grapes, they're sorting the grapes, they're crushing, making sure your wine is good. So it is really exciting to be able to like highlight some brands owned by Latinos, and not just that, but also some grapes with Latino heritage behind them, so some Spanish grapes. I feel like there's tons of different ways to celebrate, but I wanted to kick you all off over here.
Okay, and this is Reclamacion wines?
Yeah,
is that right?
Reclamacion wines. You said that right. You're really good at rolling your R's.
Very
Well,
good.
thank you.
Really
And
good.
this bottle is beautiful.
It is
the
so
Monarch
stunning.
Butterfly
Yes.
has deep Mexican roots.
Yes, it does. So this is by David Salazar, and I really loved hearing his story because one of the things that he told me is his dad immigrated from Mexico and worked in the California vineyards, and this is really about reclaiming the history of the workers of the vineyards, but also honoring those workers. So a part of like this wine is that he really wants to build an organization that not just gives back to vineyard workers, but also their families. And this wine was named a Macario Montoya Award, but also I recently contributed to a wine enthusiast article for 8 Latinx winemakers that were changing the face of the wine industry. It was such an honor to contribute to it, and David and Reclamacion Wines was on that list.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a lot of people who refuse to do rosé because they're like, I just don't like the taste.
This rosé.
Let me tell you something. I just picked this up, and if my eyes would have been closed, I would not have been able to tell you it was a rosé.
Yeah, it's
delicious.
So stunning. I mean, raspberry, strawberry, a bit of pomegranate, some lemon zest, and then a very fresh and dry finish. But overall, like you said, Derek, I really just feel like this bottle on its own represents like that Mexican heritage, also just represents like branching out, like a monarch butterfly that is like flying away and is ready to give to the world. And I really do feel like that is what Latinos are giving to the wine industry right now.
It's a
beautiful.
Beautiful bottle.
Yeah.
And the point that you made too, like the people who are actually working the fields and making the wines, like they're the true wine experts.
They are. They really are. And a really big part of how I stumbled into the wine industry was I actually used to be a news reporter in Bakersfield, which is considered the breadbasket of America, so Central California. And just about an hour from there is Paso Robles. So about 10 years ago, Paso Robles was really having this like emergence, and it was because a lot of the farm workers that were in Bakersfield were headed over to Paso. They heard it was a active wine region, it was growing. And so Diablo Paso Robles is one of those wines, that started off in Paso Robles and has those Hispanic roots to it. So I did bring you a Tempranillo and also an Albarino. So up to you what you're in the mood for. But this goes back to what I was saying about Hispanic Heritage Month isn't just about highlighting Hispanic winemakers, but also those Spanish grapes. But this label has both. Tempranillo comes from Spain, Albarino comes from that border of Portugal and Spain. And this was made by Enrique Torres. So he had a big love of Spanish wines in general. And so he really wanted to make a label that was classic Spanish grapes grown in California. And he comes from he's a native from a small fishing village in Mexico. So this is his dream, to be able to live the California winemaking dream. He grew up as what they call a cellar rat. So he worked years in the cellar, sourcing, picking grapes, crushing grapes and making wine for other brands. And so this is kind of his dream come true.
He makes a great bottle of wine.
Does.
I'm glad I got the red. How's that white?
It's delicious. It's really good.
So good.
I feel like it's very aromatic. The ones that are right in front of us, I feel have a really great, potent smell.
I love an Albarino because it almost has like a little zest to it. And then I love a Tempranillo, especially for the fall, because it does remind me of my own Spanish roots because it's a Spanish grape. And drinking it kind of just makes you feel all like warm and cozy. It definitely has those fall notes to it.
You love reaching for a Tempranillo. But this white one, what'd you call it? An Albarino?
An Albarino.
What would you liken that to for someone who's never had that?
So if you've never had that, I would say it's almost like well, actually, it can be made so many different ways. I believe that this one is oaked Albarino, so it's going to be a little bit more like a silky, but think like a silky Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Like
I
a
was
Sauvignon
waiting to
Blanc
hear
is
what you were
made in
gonna
a stainless
say.
steel manner, so it's always going to have like more zest to it, where this is going to be like an oaked version of that.
Still very light and
Yeah.
almost crispy, but yes,
Yeah,
delicious.
easy to
Perfect.
drink
Yeah.
for sure. I love
Very.
Albarino. Also, Albarinos are very low in alcohol, so that's always
Okay.
a good option, especially if you're going to be drinking all day. Maybe
Yeah,
you're
nice
going for an
benefit.
Albarino.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So another Paso Robles wine. This is Bodega de Edgar, and again back to the Albarino. So that white is going to be an Albarino, and the other one is going to be a Tarragona, and that's just a blend of Grenache, Tempranillo, Graciano, some really good Spanish grapes in there. And this is made by Edgar Torres. He immigrated from Mexico as a teenager, and he worked in restaurants, cellars, and now he's known for those big, bold Rhone-style varietals. But again, a lover of Spanish wine. So really bringing Spanish wine over to Paso Robles.
This one for sure has a big, bold flavor. Absolutely,
You love it? Okay,
I
good.
do. Yes.
I feel like Paso Robles is known for those like big, bold flavors in general, and I think it's great that he is still honoring his Spanish roots while making wine in Paso Robles.
That is a delicious glass.
Yeah.
I like that it's not overly chilled. The last one on your list,
Last
this is a
one.
special bottle,
This
2017.
is, so this family dates back to 143 years. They are a fourth generation family from the Rioja region of Spain. So again, this just goes back to honoring not just Hispanic winemakers, but also Spanish grapes. So Rioja is a great example of that. This is Viña Cubillo Crianza. I hope I got that right.
Viña Cubillo Crianza.
And this is the Lopez de Heredia family. Like I said, over 100 years, family owned, 4 generations, and Rioja is just such a special grape, especially for the fall season.
These are all
Salud.
delicious bottles.
Yes.
Daniela Garrido, it's so
cheers
great to
to
see
you.
you. A toast to you, my friend. Come back and see us
Salud.
anytime.
Salud.
Happy Hispanic Heritage
Thank
Month, by the
you.
way. You
Yeah.
can connect with Daniela by going to our website, HoustonLife.tv. Look for that scene on Houston Life section. I love the backstory of every single thing you
It's
brought.
incredible.
Thank you all.
For sure. Cheers.